Americans face a relentless battle on their farms, fields, and forests. A conflict not with weather or disease, but with wild boars, one of the most destructive invasive species rampaging through the southern United States. Picture dusk settling on a sprawling Texas plain. As the golden light wanes, a dark, lumbering herd emerges from dense thickets. Their bulky frames might suggest clumsiness, but don't be deceived. Each wild boar is incredibly intelligent, alert to danger, and surprisingly fast. Whether you're a hunter, a rancher, or a landowner, trapping these elusive, wily beasts demands a careful blend of strategy, patience, and nerves of steel. But before we dive into the wildest scenes of this rural struggle, a quick call to action. If you find stories like this captivating, consider subscribing right now. Your support helps us spread awareness and document the ongoing drama of managing American wildlife in the face of invasive species. These feral hogs weren't always a problem here. The story begins centuries ago when European explorers, during the 15th century, first brought domesticated pigs to American shores for meat and sport. Over time, small groups of these animals escaped enclosures and adapted to the wild, becoming feral. Particularly in the 19th and early 20th centuries, an influx of wild boar imports arrived to satisfy hunting demands, further swelling their numbers. Some boars slipped through fences, adapting quickly to their new environment and multiplying with alarming speed. A new chapter opening in the ecological history of North America. Today, there are over 8.3 million wild boars estimated to roam across 39 states. Once confined to the South, their ranges now extend widely, carving new, often destructive trails wherever they go. The impact of these animals is far beyond a simple nuisance. Wild boars transmit diseases to domestic pigs and other animals, ravage farmland through their destructive rooting and feeding behaviors, damage sports fields, and even pose direct risks to people, attacking when threatened or surprised. Farmers endure an estimated $2.5 billion in damages annually due to this relentless invader. Overnight, crops are torn up as if churned by a mechanical rototiller. The upshot, enormous economic loss and ecological disruption. In response to this escalating crisis, regulations have adapted. Most U.S. states now allow residents to trap or hunt wild hogs freely as a measure to protect agriculture and native habitats. This level of intervention is exceptional, given the severity of the problem. However, the approach isn't straightforward. It begins with old-fashioned scouting, identifying signs of wild boar activity around riverbanks, dry creek beds, wetlands, and forest edges. Trappers quickly learn to spot the telltale signs. Narrow trails blaze through dense underbrush, broad, wet footprints impressed in muddy soil, and deep, persistent rooting where wild pigs have dug for tubers and insects. Choosing the right location is vital. Ideal trapping sites provide shade and water access and are accessible by vehicle for moving traps and equipment. Once a location is selected, the pre-baiting phase begins. Trappers scatter bait, such as dry or fermented corn, vegetable scraps, and sweet molasses. Wild boars have an omnivorous diet and are drawn strongly to these scents, but they are wary creatures that quickly flee if they detect human presence. To offset this, trappers use trail cameras fixed on the bait to monitor activity remotely, receiving images directly to their smartphones. This technology allows for replenishing bait discreetly and maintaining a constant food source. The pre-baiting stage usually lasts 1 to 2 weeks, allowing wild boars to lose their fear and become accustomed to regularly feeding at the location. This habituation is crucial for the trap's eventual success. When the wild boar herd's confidence grows, the trap is prepared right where the baiting took place. Trap types vary depending on the size of the herd. Corral or silo traps are favored for large group, while sturdy cage or box traps suffice for singles or small clusters. Regardless of style, trap walls must be at least 5 feet high to prevent pigs from leaping free. While government permits are generally not needed on private property, trappers must obtain landowner permission. Initially, the trap door remains open. This invites the pigs to enter and exit freely, acclimating to the trap's interior. Bait is laid along a path deeper into the trap to guide boars inside. Surveillance cameras monitor activity, ensuring that even the shyest individuals feed inside for at least 3 consecutive nights, proof they are comfortable in the enclosure. Once familiarity is established, the trap's trigger is activated. Bait is placed further inside, often near the trip trigger, enticing the boars to linger inside longer. When a group triggers the mechanism, the trap door slams shut, trapping the wild herd. The boars frantically run against the sturdy walls, but their escape attempts are futile. The walls are anchored deeply into the soil to withstand brutal impact. Modern smart traps now integrate cameras and remote activation, allowing trappers to control and monitor the trap from a distance, sometimes able to hold up to 50 wild boars per activation. Though the cost of such a trap can reach $75,000, the investment is often justified by the potential population control benefits. Handling the aftermath demands caution. Wild boars are powerful and can be aggressive when trapped. The common method for humane disposal is on-site shooting, specifically aiming for vital zones. The middle forehead about 2 to 3 inches above an imaginary line connecting the eyes aimed toward the spine, or behind the ear directed toward the opposite eye. Hunters wear gloves to protect against a plethora of pathogens carried by wild boars, up to 30 different diseases and over 35 types of parasites, including leptospirosis and brucellosis. After elimination, some trappers process and consume the boars on site, while others sell the meat to restaurants or processing facilities. Facilities such as Broken Arrow Ranch in Texas collaborate with trappers and USDA-approved slaughterhouses, processing between 1,500 to 1,700 wild boars yearly. Most processed animals weigh between 80 to 180 pounds, as larger adult males often produce a strong odor due to hormonal effects, making the meat less desirable. Wild boar control efforts extend into large federal and state-managed lands, like the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. There, over 15,000 feral hogs have been removed by trapping and shooting in recent years. Despite this, their populations persist due to prolific reproduction and savvy evasion. Night hunting is common, with hunters tracking boars downwind to avoid detection, sometimes shooting from distances up to 600 yards. The designated targets remain the head and heart to ensure humane kills. However, wild pigs can sprint up to 25 miles per hour, often escaping if not accurately hit, complicating these efforts. The wild boar's story is one of introduction, survival, and adaptation. How did a species brought to America by Columbus and subsequent explorers expand into tens of millions? Importation in the 1800s and early 1900s intensified their numbers, with many animals escaping enclosures and thriving in America's varied ecosystems. Today, Texas houses roughly 2 million wild boars, making it the epicenter of the feral swine crisis. These pigs reproduce rapidly. Sows deliver 2 litters each year containing 4 to 12 baby piglets. Adult males reach 300 to 400 pounds and can run at astonishing speeds, difficult to trap or hunt. Their diet and behavior intensify the problems they cause. Not only do they destroy crops by rooting through soil with tusks, but they also damage grasslands and attack livestock and sometimes humans. In June 2022, 6 feral hogs, each over 200 pounds, devastated 2 acres and 2,000 pounds of produce on a single Texas farm in one night. Their damage goes beyond agriculture. They ruin sports fields, disrupt native wildlife by competing for food, and prey on eggs, chicks, and small mammals, threatening endangered species like the gopher tortoise. Disease concerns heighten the threat. Wild boars harbor numerous viruses, bacteria, and parasites that pose risks to livestock, pets, and humans. The USDA allocates over $30 million annually toward mitigation, though results remain mixed and population control difficult. Some states now focus on managing damage rather than eradication, recognizing the species' persistence. Control methods include year-round hunting with no bag limits, trapping with cable gate systems, and baiting using corn, fermented beer, or sugar. Night trapping is strategic, exploiting the boar's poor night vision. Despite efforts, hunting and trapping reduce only about 29% of the feral population, far below what is necessary to curb growth. The USDA trials the use of sodium nitrate poison in specialized bait stations targeting adult boars to increase control efficiency while minimizing non-target species risk. The commercialization of wild boar meat remains constrained by food safety issues. With only 15 federally inspected facilities permitted to process wild boar nationwide, supply and demand face bottlenecks. The meat requires careful handling to reduce pathogens, and mature males' strong odor often deters consumers. Globally, wild boar struggles reflect a widespread challenge of invasive species. In Australia, rabbits introduced by Thomas Austin in the 19th century exploded from a few dozen to millions within decades, devastating crops and pastures. Human introduction, combined with rapid breeding and few natural predators, created a scourge costing the Australian economy $200 million annually. Efforts there include bulldozing warrens, introducing biological controls like the myxoma virus, and using toxic gases. Despite this, invasive populations endure, demonstrating the immense challenge of controlling introduced species across ecosystems. Back in America, the war on wild boars persists. Advances in trap design, high-tech monitoring tools, and improved hunting methods have helped, but pigs remain clever and adaptive. Nightly patrols using drones and motion sensors monitor their movements, while hunters continue refining techniques. As the sun sets yet again and another herd emerges from forested creek beds, the battle lines are redrawn. The saga of America's wild boars continues, shaped by the efforts of trappers, farmers, hunters, biologists, and community members. For more insightful stories about wildlife, ecosystem management, and rural challenges, subscribe to our channel. Stay informed and engaged as we bring you every new development, lesson, and triumph over nature's wildest opponents.